Hey guys, Drifter here. I think Marathon is on track to become Concord 2 Corpo shooter boogaloo. Sony's acquisition of Bungie may have just caused them a huge financial loss similar to that of Concord, and there's actually a lot of similarities between Concord and Marathon. They're both recent products of Sony's game studio acquisitions. Both are trying to compete against free-to-play games in the same genre while maintaining a $40 price point. Both have extremely unique and polarizing art styles, and both leave the community with many gripes about the core gameplay. The similarities are so strong that it has fully reinforced a new term in the community, Corpo shooter. Corpo shooter was born alongside Concord, and it basically means a soulless corporate product of an FPS game, a shooter designed by corporate suits or corpos, so it's meant as a slur against Marathon. And I really wish that this wasn't the case. I really wanted to like Marathon. I was all on board with the Marathon hype train. Their closed alpha just came out after an extremely hyped reveal, and then all of that hype has rapidly deflated for me and many other members of the community, which again is a shame because I really wanted to like this game. There are aspects of Marathon that I think are S tier, like the art style and lore building, and there are other more important aspects of Marathon that are severely lacking, like basically the entire gameplay loop. They even gave aim assist to PC players, so mouse and keyboard has aim assist, which is bizarre to me. I played a lot of the closed alpha, and today I want to offer you my impressions, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's going to be a lot more ugly and bad, but we're going to start off with the good section because it has the most direct comparison with Concord. One of my favorite things about Marathon is the art style. I absolutely love the art style of this game. It has a completely unique look that isn't represented anywhere else in gaming. Marathon has bright, punchy colors, blocky designs, brutalist architecture, inhuman-looking characters, and they went with text graphics on the screen, like old ASCII art, which is very cool. I talked about this a lot in my initial impressions video, but I do think the art style is amazing, and it kind of reminds me of watching a good Love, Death, Robots episode. Like if I were at home watching this as a Love, Death, Robots episode with my wife, I would say it was fantastic, and whoever they hired to direct the trailers and create this art deserves a raise. But I also enjoyed the Concord art style, which was a 1980s and early 90s inspired retro sci-fi futurism type thing. It was designed to pay homage to some of my favorite TV shows like the old Battlestar Galactica and Farscape. Unfortunately, the amount of people that got those references were small in number and mostly aging out of the gaming space. Both Concord and Marathon have extremely niche art styles that are only appreciated by a handful of players. And as cool as this might have been in like a college art department, it did contribute to the downfall of Concord, and I do think it's going to contribute to the downfall of Marathon, and we're going to loop back around on why in the bad section. I do like the lore of the game. I think it's really nice to have an extraction shooter with consistent lore that explains what happens when you die. Runners being constructs that are constantly recreated after getting wiped is a really cool idea to me. It reminds me of the roguelike game Hades, and it motivates me to play the game because the story feels consistent and connected. Personally, I love the transhumanism, the posthumanism, the far future sci-fi tech like in the Blame manga, and general otherworldliness of this game. The story fascinates me, the factions fascinate me, it motivates me to do more missions. Unfortunately, like Concord, this might be a cool idea for artists, but I don't think a lot of regular gamers kind of get it. Sci-fi has never been quite as popular as traditional stories because the genre can become much more difficult to understand should the author choose it to be that way, and I enjoy those stories. I enjoy the challenging ones. But a bizarre story is going to turn away people that are just here for a chill time. If I just wanted to pop in and have a good time, it's hard to do that with a story so complex. I'd need like a college degree to understand the technology behind it. I do like the progression system. It's actually pretty manageable and easy to understand. I like that it's built around a little economy, so everything I do has a monetary value, though I know most extraction shooters do this. And I like that there's different factions to work with, and they each give different flavors of missions on the map, along with my own personal leveling system. Everything about the progression in the game seemed pretty reasonable. I don't really like the fact that we have to scrap for some random low-cost components to do certain things, but I do understand that's a part of extraction shooters. And one really great thing is that if you disconnect, there's a reconnect button that works. So that's really nice. You can just hop right back into the game. That's a great feature that Bungie added that every extraction shooter should have. So good on you guys. And that's the end of the good. Now we're moving to the part of the video that I know you guys are super into, which is the bad. First one in the bad is the art style again, and you're going to say, hold up, Drifter, you just said you loved this wacky art style. Why is it in the bad section? It's in the bad section because the art style in-game does not hold up to the art style in the trailers. Like, I get that promotional materials are rendered elsewhere. They're going to have higher fidelity graphics. The players are going to move and do some things that they can't really do in game. I get that. I'm not expecting my game to be that cinematic, but the disconnect was gigantic. Other games have cinematics, and when you pop in game, it looks kind of similar. This one was a jarring difference, like a wild disconnect. Because when I'm actually in the game, the graphics are so much worse, just so much worse than expected, and way simpler too. It's like they lowered the degree of realism from the trailers and just went with very simple maps that can't get dirty, that can't get smoky, that can't reflect things properly, that can't do anything besides be a giant green texture just floating out there in the middle of nowhere. I really do not think the art style worked with the gameplay at all. It's like they lowered the degree of realism from the trailers and just went super simple everything. I also don't like that the enemies and HUD hit markers and everything is very blocky. It's blocky to the point where it begins to feel impossible, and it makes me think I'm playing Roblox, like I'm playing some Call of Duty mod in Roblox or Destiny Roblox or something. And there are certain sections of maps that look downright gorgeous, especially interior sections. And I also think that when you're dead and you're spectating your teammates and they have that like police cam helmet view and they're like clearing internal buildings, looks really cool, absolutely beautiful. But those are mostly the interior sections. The outside sections look comically bad. And on top of that, Bungie decided to add a weather system to the map. But beyond the weather system, there's a general amount of smoke and fog on the map that makes it look a little bit uglier. It's not very beautiful or anything. And my assumption is that they built these maps and then realized that higher level enemies are going to be able to spot people like 500 meters away and snipe at them. So they wanted to add dust and fog and smoke and weather to obscure people's movements because the maps were not designed properly. That's my opinion. And I think that adding these obstructions to the map really holds them back in terms of their beauty. Now, I said that the in-game graphics didn't look as good, and I'll still stand by that, but they could be better if it wasn't smoky and foggy everywhere. Again, this reminds me of Concord, because that game had some very interesting looking maps that for a variety of reasons just didn't quite connect with the players. I think a similar thing is happening here in Marathon, with the maps not quite clicking with everybody. I don't like that the game has clunky abilities. They take way too long to deploy or charge up. That's just a personal pet peeve of mine. This is something I complained about a lot with Splitgate 2 and a number of other games. I don't mind ability shooters. Ability shooters are fine. I actually rather enjoy those. What I don't like is abilities that take a long time to activate. More specifically, if I'm playing, say, a fast character, which is mostly what I played for this alpha, with fast abilities, I don't want the fast abilities to have some arbitrarily long wind-up time. When I hit the go fast button, I should go fast. It shouldn't be I hit the go fast button and wait to watch a 1-second magical girl transformation anime thing and then go fast. That is way too much. Playing a defensive character, maybe a character with pings or something like that, like I get it. But the fast character having slow abilities is just brain dead to me. I also think that this game has deliberately slowed movement. I know that's Bungie's specialty between Destiny and Halo. And it's also a lot like Concord. Concord had very slow movement. As a matter of fact, when it first came out, people were calling it Sloverwatch. And a pretty similar thing is happening here. The characters that you play can sprint pretty fast. They've got decent movement like that, but sprinting builds up heat. If you build up too much heat, you'll overheat and you won't be able to do any abilities or anything until you fully cool down. So it punishes you for that. The downside is that when you're sprinting, you don't have to go very far before you overheat. You can build that up very, very easy. The climbing system they built is generous, so that's nice. But jumping or double jumping also builds up heat, so climbing is going to tire you out. Falling more than a few feet will cause you to lose a fair bit of health. I thought it would be a no fall damage game, seeing as how you're playing a little robot. Using your melee attacks adds a pretty significant amount of heat as well, and slows you down as you're doing it. It's very clunky, slow kind of stab. And most of the game's movement-related mechanics seem to be designed to make you slow. They're not designed for everything to feel fast or normal, and for some classes to feel a little faster. Rather, it feels like the movement mechanics are built to make you feel slow, and some classes feel slightly less slow. Moving along, they added aim assist for PC, which is a bizarre choice. I just gotta... That is... I, I don't have words. I'm truly at a loss of words for how strange this is to me. It's a truly backwards solution. So the idea is that mouse and keyboard and console should be roughly on par with each other in terms of performance. That's what we want. Controllers and mouse and keyboard being equal. Now, typically what developers have done in the past is leave the mouse and keyboard alone and adjust the levels of auto aim on the console controller to get it to wherever they think it needs to be to balance the PC. Well, they kind of went fully backwards on this and left the controller alone and decided to add aim assist to PC to kind of get things to where they think it should be, which I think is weird. It's kind of like how in Japan they name buildings instead of roads, so roads don't have names. You can go so far in the opposite direction of a solution, so weird that it can come back around again and work. I think that it works, it's just really weird. I will say, if you're interested in a new gaming mouse, aim assist or not, I would highly encourage the Logitech G Superlight series. I use these on my little 4-inch mouse space in the gaming bed. Absolutely fantastic product. There's a link down there in the description below, and my code will save you 5% off. I use this thing like every day, so it's a good shout out. All right, cool. Moving along, I think that there's an inconsistent player versus player experience. Highly variable loot means highly variable player combat, and I usually like variety, but this kind is a little bit frustrating to me. Because sometimes you run into some broke boys that are doing a 0 to hero run and you can just overwhelm them because you have superior shields. Other times you run into a squad that has high level weapons and they'll drop you almost instantly. I cannot, for the life of me, get a feel for the expected time to kill in combat. The abilities vary a lot from player to player. You don't know what people are going to pull out and pop on you. The weapons, highly variable as well, in terms of rarity and damage and output and performance and reload and handling and all this kind of stuff. And I get that looter shooter, you want to get better weapons, right? Extraction shooter, that's the goal. But it kind of makes combat less fun because it's difficult to gauge the strength of your opponents. At least I found it difficult to gauge the strength of my opponents. And I'm not asking for weak opponents, but I do just kind of want to have an idea of what I'm going up against. And now finally, we're at the ugly section. Number one in the ugly section is something that I think a lot of you are going to disagree with me on, and that's that there's AI everywhere. And my God, do I hate the AI. I understand this is an extraction shooter, and that many of these types of games operate around cleaning out the AI, or player versus player, or PvPvE, or something like that. Destiny 1 and 2 were like that. You would go on raids, kill the little minions, kill the boss, get the loot, do the thing. And I didn't enjoy that aspect. I only played Destiny and PvP multiplayer. And I have to admit, I have a personal bias against player versus enemy games. That's why I don't do a lot of single player games. Taking down bosses, killing high level enemies, defeating the same enemy again, but this time they just have more health so they can bullet sponge a little bit more. Those kinds of experiences were just never satisfying for me. Same kind of thing of going on a raid with somebody. It just didn't do it for me. It didn't do it for me in Destiny. It didn't do it for me in Titanfall. It doesn't do it for me in Warzone Casual. And it doesn't do it for me in Marathon. I get absolutely zero satisfaction from killing the bots in this game. And I have, for always and forever, just been a player hunter. Maybe not the world's best, but they're a lot more satisfying to kill. Unfortunately, in Marathon, you're going to have to kill a lot of AI. And they're all over the place. They spawn in all the time. They make a bunch of noise. You can't ignore them, or they'll lob very damaging and dangerous grenades at you. And a huge part of this game is just taking down bots in various scenarios, or with more or less health. And I swear to God, I thought I saw elites from Halo because they operated about the same. To me, the bots and the AI are just a chore. I get no satisfaction whatsoever from killing them. They're just an annoyance on the map that I have to deal with. And I know that a lot of people disagree with me on this opinion, but this is my opinion and it's how I feel about it. I also don't like that the AI is somewhat difficult to distinguish from the players. I think this goes down back to that sort of blocky art style, makes everything a lot harder than it needs to be. And I think that the AI actually makes a lot more noise than most players. I can hear the AI stamping around all the time, but players can pretty easily run up on me and destroy me. The bots have a similar looking blocky design as the runner, so I'll hear footsteps and go out and I'll check and there'll be a bot or two stamping around and think, okay, that's fine. And then I hear a few more footsteps and I look over and I see this big blocky person running around. I'm like, it's just a different version of bot. Nope, that's a runner and they're going to hose you. I know that they look different. I know that you can ping them to get different results and information about them. But at a glance, they look similar to me. And this is actually the same problem I had with Infinite Warfare because all of the operators were very blocky and they had the same kind of frame. So I couldn't really tell who I was engaging with. This may be a matter of game time and experience, but I believe it should be designed to be obvious and natural. Also, dealing with the AI guarantees that you attract player attention. Again, this is part of the extraction shooter loop that I'm not super on board for, but anytime you do anything in the game, it sets off an alarm, a whole bunch of noise, a bunch of bots show up. Honestly, if you just wanted to go farm bots and kill them, that makes a ton of noise in and of itself, and you can hear them from super far away. So looting anything valuable is just ringing the dinner bell for people to sprint across these relatively small maps and come third party you. And again, I get that's part of the extraction shooter combat loop. It's what gives them their risk reward incentives. But this one just doesn't feel right to me. It feels way too easy and way too common to just roll up on people in the middle of cleaning out 47 bots and annihilate them before they can even distinguish you from the bots. And it happens to me too. Moving now toward the end, there's another really big flaw that just drives me bananas, and that's that the revive system is way too generous. You can revive a player when they're down, and you can also revive them when they're fully dead. And I don't mean getting their tag and taking them to the respawn beacon or the reboot van or doing a thing or buying you back at the buy station like other games. I mean, you can just walk up to their corpse, their fully dead corpse that has been executed, and revive them. And I think the revive time is only a little bit longer than if you're down on your knees. And I think this is beyond stupid. I know this is an overall negative review, and people from Bungie PR are probably watching, and I feel really bad right now because they sent me a cool care package and they got me in the alpha, and I really liked the art, and I really wanted to enjoy this game, and I don't like being negative. But being able to just walk up to a fully dead executed corpse and press X to do a regular revive on that person that I downed and then later disintegrated is beyond brain dead. That is Omega level stupid. And the only thing that I can think is that they wanted to make this game more casual so that you and your buddies don't get stuck spectating too long, because that's not fun. But man, is it dumb. That means if you kill somebody and you have time to fully down them, you then have to camp their corpse. I lost gunfights in this game because we would start fighting in one location, let's say kill a person, fully down and execute them, get their intel, whatever, and then we would move on to push the other two. Well, what would happen sometimes is one guy would stay behind and just kind of harass and let us chase him, while the other one looped all the way back around to do a full revive on the corpse that I just killed. So then I would kill the distractionary person and we would say, hey, we got 2 out of 3 dead. This is 3v1. And we'd roll up and it'd be a 2v1 with the other guy already revived, all loot back, ready to go, lobbing grenades at us, because we didn't stop to think to camp his body. We have to kill a person, full kill them, and then make sure that nobody can touch their body, which is just stupid. It was immediately off-putting. I don't like it at all. When somebody is down on their knees and I run up and do my like intel extraction thing that causes them to disintegrate into bits, they should be dead. They should not be coming back, because it means I can never judge what's going to be happening in combat. Speaking of combat, weapon damage is very inconsistent in player combat. Probably has to do with different shields and rarity tiers. As of right now, it just feels very, very random. Sometimes you're having a gunfight, sometimes somebody breaks out a super weapon and you just get deleted. And at the end of the day, I think that Marathon is going to be an extremely grindy extraction shooter. I think that my fun with it would wear out pretty quickly, and I have no desire to redeploy over and over and over and over again to run little contracts and grind through this. Also, another one in the ugly section, it's not free to play. I can't believe that. There are other free to play extraction shooters like this game, better than this game, similar to this game, highly competitive with this game, that are completely free, and Marathon wants you to pay $40. That's probably going to go, that's what Concord did. Concord made a version of Overwatch, basically, and expected you to pay for it when Overwatch 2 was free. I think it's crazy. So I really hope that Bungie takes this feedback well, and I hope that they make some major changes to Marathon post-alpha. Despite me being very negative today, I really do want this game to succeed. I want almost all of the games that I review here on this channel to succeed, and I really hope they delay the launch and plan a big overhaul of this game, because if they don't, I think it is going to be Concord 2. Or maybe if we're really generous, we can call it Concord Evolved. In trouble. It's in trouble, guys. Man, I hate being negative, but the game's in trouble. All right, guys, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.